This week in fantasy movies, we look at the fandom war in Star Wars and its latest battlefield, the Acolyte. Plus, Lionsgate's massive blunder in promoting Megalopolis. And Horskills of Rohan, ride for wrath, ride for ruin, and a red dawn! Death! Death! For Erlingas! But first we gotta tell you about a new film from our friends at Aerostorm Entertainment. See, a few years back, they made The Curse of Crom, a Halloween monster movie infused with Irish myth. And now Aerostorm is back.
That's right, we're making a sequel. It's called Curse of Crom 2, Crom's Fury. We want to expand the story mythology and dive deeper into Irish Halloween lore.
Aerostorm is based out of Utah, where they're filming most of the movie. And if you know anything about the culture there, you know they go hard for Halloween. And Aerostorm wants to take it a step up this time.
Well, let's just say we're going to film part of the movie in Ireland.
That's right, they are taking the production to Ireland. And to do that, they're trying to raise $70,000 on Kickstarter. So after this episode, check the link in the description to help launch The Curse of Crom 2, Crom's Fury.
But 200 years before that,
Riders of the Mark, brothers of Rohan,
there was an older tale.
arise!
That's right, we have our first trailer for The War of the Rohirrim, a new Middle-earth film with Peter Jackson producing.
We come with an offer to strengthen Rohan.
And directed by Kenji Kamiyama, who previously worked on anime like Eden of the East, Ultraman, and Ayan no A31. The War of the Rohirrim is an action-packed war epic following Hera, the daughter of Helm Hammerhands, the man who Helm's Deep is named after.
You know nothing of war.
I'm the fastest rider you have.
I am so thrilled to see another Lord of the Rings movie, and being an anime only makes it better. It's friggin' gorgeous! This movie has everything. Epic battles, courtly intrigue, horse girls, Olifants, horse girls riding Olifants, and Saruman.
People need hope, Hera. Something to believe in.
And giant freaking eagles! Coming to theaters in December.
We fear no god.
From Zack Snyder, we have a movie about Ragnarok.
They want a war. I will give it to them.
The title cards say it all. Revenge, blood, sex, and dragons. You know, exactly what you would expect from Zack Snyder's take on Ragnarok.
You offer surrender? Here is my answer!
Coming to Netflix next month. Then we got our first trailer for Dandadan, an anime series from the mad geniuses at Science Saru, where two high schoolers make a bet to see who's right. Do aliens exist or do ghosts exist? They find out it's both, actually, and that's just the beginning of the madcap zany adventure. Starting October 4th. Also, Aniplex has confirmed that Mashal Season 2 has entered production.
Whatever comes my way, I'll knock the stuffing out of them. With my fist!
Then,
Lara Croft, the glorious return.
we've got trailers for Lara Croft's Tomb Raider on Netflix, and Secret Level, an anthology of video game stories from the creator of Love, Death, and Robots. Secret Level features 15 standalone short films set in the worlds of Warhammer, Unreal Tournament, New World Aeternum, Dungeons & Dragons, Outer Worlds, Honor of Kings, Armored Core, Exodus, Spelunky, Crossfire, Concord, Sifu, Mega Man, and Pac-Man.
Come in. You have a game to play.
Oh, and Jeff Goldblum stars in a series? A fable? Netflix calls it a myth. Anyway, it's a modern retelling of Greek gods being completely out of touch with humans.
And it'd do you all good to remember that.
Coming Thursday. Hey, aren't you glad they fixed all the Y2K bugs and the world didn't wind up in a technological apocalypse?
We are experiencing major problems as a result of the Y2K breakdown.
What's that? You wish it had happened? Well, then do I have the film for you.
Y2K is real.
A24 brings us a teenage techno-horror comedy in Y2K. Set in 1999 at a New Year's Eve kegger, this movie looks ruthless and vicious. And that's just the comedy bits.
Dumbass. I use gel.
Coming December. And finally, we have Lionsgate's first trailer for Francis Ford Coppola's biggest blockbuster bet, Megalopolis.
True genius is often misunderstood.
And given the aggressively mixed reception this film got at Cannes, Lionsgate really put in the work to show that Francis Ford Coppola is onto something.
One filmmaker has always been ahead of his time.
Go.
It's got all these quotes from famous movie critics like Pauline Kael, Andrew Sarris, Vincent Canby, Rex Reed, and Roger Ebert, who all ragged on Coppola's past films like The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and Dracula. Yeah, but the quotes are fake. What's that? The quotes are fake. The quotes are fake? The quotes are fake! So yeah, hours after the trailer dropped on Wednesday, Vulture pointed out that the quotes were fake. Variety independently corroborated this and also reported that when you ask ChatGPT for negative reviews of Coppola's work, you get quotes that look weirdly similar to what we saw in this trailer. On Friday, Lionsgate issued an apology to the critics and to Coppola, recalled the trailer, and fired Eddie Egan, the marketing consultant who oversaw this trailer. This isn't the first scandal Megalopolis has seen. Back in July, Variety dropped a video recorded by one of the crew that showed Coppola kissing an extra on set. They tried to spin it up as a sexual harassment thing until that exact same extra came forward and shot this down. Reina Menz, the extra in question, said to Deadline that Coppola was nothing but professional, like a cute Italian grandfather. It's bonkers and baffling that so many Hollywood press outlets, and Variety especially, seem hellbent on kicking Coppola's movie into the dirt. Is it because he financed the $120 million production himself and went outside the studio system to make it? He sure did have a lot of trouble landing a distributor. It's hard to say for sure, but the Hollywood press would do well to stop trying to strangle this movie before it even has a chance to walk.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
You know what? Yeah, this AI fumble is embarrassing for Lionsgate, but don't let it overshadow just how cool this film looks. Is it good or bad? Maybe it's both. It could be both. Maybe it's best if it's both. But you can't deny that Megalopolis is a vision to behold, and the trailer footage alone proves it'll be a glorious spectacle. Go check it out when it hits theaters later next month. Okay, last week we reported on the Paramount buyout situation with Skydance's deal to buy the company and a potential counterbid by Edgar Bronfman Jr. Well, we have an update. Just ahead of the deadline, Bronfman threw down $4.5 billion to buy Paramount. And then he threw down $6 billion to buy Paramount. And Paramount used a clause in its deal with Skydance to extend the go-shop period another 15 days while they consider Bronfman's offer. Backing up this new offer are a Kazakh business tycoon and a former child star turned crypto bro. Now, Bronfman's $6 billion bid still doesn't match Skydance's original $8 billion offer. But, like we guessed last week, shareholders like it because it's a simple buyout instead of a more complicated merger. Also, the Bronfman deal gives more money to regular shareholders. But Skydance is upset. They say Paramount violated their deal by negotiating with Bronfman. Which sounds laughable if you ask me, but hey, corporate shenanigans come with a lot of egos, and sometimes those egos will bruise. It's a cost of doing business. In another update from last week's episode, it turns out the CW pulled The Librarians: The Next Chapter from its lineup because it's moved over to TNT. This is actually kind of a big deal. See, The Librarians first graced our screens as a trilogy of TV movies that aired on TNT back in 2004. It was a decade later, in 2014, that Dean Devlin brought his concept to the CW as an ongoing series. But it turns out there's always been a desire to bring it back to TNT. About 6 weeks ago, Devlin was on a call with Sam Linsky, the head of programming at TNT. Linsky said TNT was jealous about the Librarians show and asked, quote, "Do you think there's any chance you could move the show from the CW to us?" Cut to now, and they've completed all the organizational gymnastics to bring the Librarians back to TNT. So rejoice! The mystery of the pulled schedule had a happy ending after all. As a final button to the story, this move also shifts the CW's role from just another network to now also dipping its toes into co-production on other competing networks. The mind races to think of all the potential crossovers, maybe a Supernatural spin-off on Shudder, or an Arrowverse continuation on Max. Who knows? The world is the CW's oyster. That is, if the Ragebait grifters don't kill it off first, and damn it, the grifters did it again! After relentless attacks on the show and racist barbs about the lead actor, Amandla Stenberg, Disney unceremoniously pulled the plug on The Acolyte last week. This show broke grounds to expand representation in the Star Wars universe and take fresh approaches to the nature of the Force and the role of the Jedi. It also, and I cannot stress this enough, had excellent performances, from Amandla Stenberg playing twins, to Lee Jung-jae learning English just to play his role, to Manny Jacinto's entire Riz. So it's no wonder this show got new fans into Star Wars. And it's no wonder those new fans are now upset. Pissed even. They started up a whole hashtag Save the Acolyte campaign and launched a Change.org petition that already has 35,000 signatures in less than a week. Now, to be clear, The Acolyte's ratings weren't great. Despite a promising first pair of episodes climbing to 11 million views in its first week, it quickly dropped out of the top 10, only returning for the final episode. But that still wasn't enough to meet Disney's high bar to renew expensive shows like its Star Wars projects. But we also should stress just how weird all of this is. Usually, when a company has to cancel a beloved show due to low viewership, they do what Max did with Our Flag Means Death, and they give some kind of statement that goes blah blah, we're so proud, superb cast and crew, we thank the fans, blah blah blah, signed with love. But that didn't happen here. Instead, Disney caved to the worst impulses of its worst fans, spurred on by a collection of vile grifters building an echo chamber for views, and shut off the show with no fanfare whatsoever. Hell, season 2 already had a soft green light. Showrunner Leslie Hetland had assembled a writer's room as far back as February. In June, she had been quietly asking around for people to direct episodes. episodes for season 2, but this surprise move from Disney quashed that progress. Not only that, but Disney quietly pulled the Acolytes merchandise from its store until fans took notice and made it impossible to ignore. All of this is disappointing because it means a band of small-minded, bigoted nitwits managed to once again yank Star Wars away from any kind of progress or evolution or emotional intelligence. So, in case it wasn't clear, sometimes a show isn't made for you. That's okay. There's a whole world of other media to discover. Film and television are not your personal Burger King menu. If you don't like a show, that's fine. You don't have to watch it. But if a show brings joy to other people, don't trample on that joy just because it didn't give you Darth Revan or something. God. Let's do the numbers. The Crow struggled to leave the nest this weekend, landing at number 8 in the box office. And Coraline keeps doing good numbers, holding on to a spot in the top 10. It's at number 7 right now. Furiosa keeps climbing the streaming movies chart up to number 2, while in the series chart, House of the Dragon holds on to its number 2 spot, and Fallout climbs back up to number 7. Also, a quick correction on Those About to Die. Turns out, it got a ratings boost thanks to NBC having the streaming rights for the Olympics. So, as much as we'd like to see this be a sleeper hit, it looks like this gladiatorial drama is just another beneficiary of What Else Is On syndrome. Capping off with some quick news, Universal won a highly competitive bidding war for the rights to the viral sci-fi post-apocalyptic romp Dungeon Crawler Carl. Seth MacFarlane's company Fuzzy Door is developing the book for a series as part of a multi-year development deal with Universal, which includes the TED series and adaptations of The Shrouded College and The Winds of War. The team behind the Northmen of Viking Saga is reuniting to make a new Viking film with the working title Seven for Valhalla, and it's another Seven Samurai remake. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad or even overplayed. There's still a lot of people doing interesting things with the Seven Samurai plot. It's just that when people go back to this well so many times, it gets harder and harder to make it interesting. Here's hoping this is one of those interesting times. Legendary is teaming up with Eric Hesserer, the writer behind Arrival, Bird Box, and Lights Out, who also developed Shadow and Bone. Even better, they have him working on a Pacific Rim prequel series. We'll keep you posted as things move forward. In an underutilized move for Blu-ray releases, the 4K release of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will feature a side-by-side cut with the final movie and the raw footage before applying any CGI. This is great because the blessing and curse with motion capture is it's really hard to distinguish what parts lean on the actors' performances and what parts were possible because of the CGI artists. Now, if they can just include more VFX breakdowns, we can get the best of both worlds. Moving over to Doctor Who news, Liam Keelan, who oversees Disney's original productions for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, says Disney is happy to have Doctor Who. And it shows. They're going full bore into Doctor Who's latest spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea. By the way, Russell T Davies shared a photo of the table read on Instagram. Table reads are still part of the writing process, but it does mean that they've got their cast pretty much figured out and they're gearing up for production. Davies is also launching a mentorship program for Welsh TV writers, with help from Marnie Dickens and His Dark Materials showrunner Jack Thorne. Following Hunter x Hunter and Sailor Moon getting dedicated linear streaming channels, now Naruto has its own channel on Freevee thanks to a deal with Viz Media. In related news, Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of Shang-Chi, has been tasked to direct a live-action Naruto film. No word yet on when production will start, let alone a release date, but rest assured you'll find out here when it happens. Looking ahead this week, Kizumonogatari Koyomi Vamp will only pop up in theaters for one day, Wednesday. Get your tickets while they're hot. Then on Thursday, The Rings of Power returns for Season 2, and I'll be watching it ravenously. On Friday, it's the finale of The Serpent Queen, and we just got the last episode of Suicide Squad Isekai. Thanks for joining us this week in fantasy movies. Don't forget to check out The Curse of Crom 2 at the link in the description. And while you're down there, come join us on Discord. We collect all our news stories there, and we'd love to talk with you about cool genre film. We'll have more in fantasy movies next week.